welcome to AppeGeek, a fun twist on a cooking show where three geeky friends come together to bring our favorite fandoms to life by whipping up tasty dishes in our home kitchen based on and inspired by our favorite games, shows, movies, and more. I'm Rach.
I'm Nora.
And we're three geeks who play with our food. Welcome to our 10th episode of AppeGeek.
I cannot believe it.
I can't either. Does not seem like it's been 10. But this episode is all about what we do in the shadows.
Yay!
I absolutely love this show. I just absolutely one of my favorites. Mm-hmm. So funny.
Oh yeah, it's great.
So underrated. Like, I've never heard it until you guys were like, hey, you should watch this show. And now it's like the best show ever.
Yeah, I have no idea how I found it. It just...
And it's like Matt Berry from IT Crowd as a vampire, so it's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much exactly.
Yeah, that's it. We're done.
No, and I think that's the thing, is like, he keeps bringing this character, but it's always funny. Like, it was a person I would absolutely not want to know in real life, but like, I cannot help but love his character.
Yes.
Like Laszlo, I don't
So
think
good.
that I would ever attend one of his parties, but...
or sit on any of his furniture.
No, oh god, no. So yeah, favorite vampire.
Nandor. Favorite character of all time.
She's fantastic. I'm gonna agree with you. I absolutely love her. So
good.
Funny.
Nandor.
Oh, he's good.
I like
Okay.
Nandor.
He really had his moment. Third season was in Nandor focus. It was great.
So yeah, we all three completely love this show, so it was kind of a no-brainer that we should cover it. But the challenge that we found is we wanted to do a show about food, or a food-related show related to a show about vampires who get absolutely, like, blindingly sick when they eat food. So it was a good challenge, but...
Yeah, I had my pencil. I wrote down everything that was put into anyone's mouth, food-related, on the show, and there was only, like, 8 things.
With, like, perfect descriptors, too, though. Like, she's sending me this list, and she's like, human alcohol martini.
Yeah,
Thank
that's what
you.
it's called.
I'm glad that you got the specifics down.
So we're making Vomit Comet pizza tonight, right?
Absolutely not.
Pizza pie.
No.
Backwards of vomits.
I mean, it was probably worth it. Like, I've had some good, like, New York pizza. I would probably, like, risk that projectile vomiting to have it, but...
Grimaldi's,
But no, we're not making vomit pizza because that's gross, and nobody wants to think about vomit when they're eating. So what we are making, I pulled a sweet recipe out of the first season, when Guillermo finds his friend Jeremy to come to the extra special annual vampire event.
Winky wink.
Yeah. He brings Mochi to that event. It does not save the party. It's a disaster, but the Mochi is probably a hit. So I decided that would be really fun to make, and I wanted to give it like a fun, like vampire-y twist. So I'm going to dye it black. I'm going to fill it with red velvet ice cream to be kind of bloody and vampire-y.
I can't wait. I've never made or tasted mochi, so I'm excited.
I eat mochi a lot, but I never made it till I started planning for this episode. So yeah, it's a different experience making it. I think we'll have some fun.
Oh boy, I'm looking forward to that. Well, there wasn't a whole lot of like other food to choose from, like we said, but there was one. Sam the cat came and brought his A game with the charcuterie board. So yeah, we're gonna try to do our best to recreate Sam's masterpiece, but I don't know. He was a cat.
I think we're gonna try. I think we're gonna like one up him. We're gonna top Sam. We can do better than a cat,
and we're gonna do that with boozy grapes. So it's gonna be good. It's gonna soak them in some. I even forgot vodka and prosecco, and then we put them in sugar, and they're gonna be delicious. Also, we've got some peanut butter stuffed chocolate dipped dates.
I am very excited for those. We're also going to put a hot honey brie in the center of that charcuterie, which Sam did not have. I noticed all of his cheeses were cold. So,
see, got you, Sam.
Human familiars for the win.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to do Laszlo's best cosplay. Now watch this. It's amazing how he transforms. Jackie Daytona with a human blood martini.
A human blood martini.
Sorry. Human alcohol martini. What's it on the blood?
Okay. I do like that you're doing like a cosplay within it. Like you're in this vampiric council garb.
Yeah, we
being
didn't say
Laszlo, being Jackie Daytona. It's very confusing.
Sorry, back to Laszlo.
Okay.
Ooh, Laszlo.
Yeah. So Jackie Daytona, what are we drinking?
It is a human alcohol martini.
And what?
So we are doing gin, vermouth, a bit of pomegranate juice, some mashed blackberries mixed with sugar, topped with some mint leaves.
Ooh,
nice. That sounds good. Sounds like it'll look nice and bloody too.
It does.
Sounds like Jim the Vampire would just throw that right out.
Or maybe he would be convinced it was blood and drink it and throw up everywhere. Sorry about all the vomit. There should not be this much talk of vomit in an intro.
If you've watched the show, you're with us.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be a really fun episode. It's a really fun show, so I hope we do it justice.
Yes.
All of this stuff takes a long time, though, so let's get to it.
Cook!
I don't think it works. We didn't turn into chefs. Okay, let's get started on our mochi.
Woohoo!
So there's a few different steps to this, but the very first one, before we can do anything, since we're making an ice cream mochi, is to get our ice cream shaped and back in the freezer. You want it to set up all nice and hard, otherwise when you start trying to shape the mochi dough around it, it's just going to go...
Yeah, that's no good.
No
Can't
good at
whip
all.
that up.
Yeah, it's bad. So we are making a red velvet mochi for kind of a bloody looking thing.
Delicious.
Yeah, to fit the vampire theme. So we're using red velvet ice cream. You can use any flavor, really. Just make sure that you make your dough match it or have no flavor. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take an ice cream scoop, not a massive one like you would see in an ice cream parlor. This one holds 2 or 3 tablespoons. So do that. Otherwise, I mean, you can make massive mochi if you want. Like, you do you. I don't know your life, but if you want normal 1 or 2 bite mochi, use an ice cream scoop. And we're just going to, I've got rubber gloves on just because I don't want to get my hands all sticky. But what we're going to do is scoop out a scoop, and then we're going to plop it into our hand and just get it as round as we possibly can and pop it onto the pan. If you keep your house pretty warm, you may need to do this in steps and pop some in the freezer while you're still rolling others out. But what we're going to do, our recipe should make anywhere between 8 and 12 mochi, depending on how big you roll them out. So we're just going to roll these out as quickly as we can, and then we're going to put them in the freezer for about an hour. And after that, if they're feeling hard, go ahead and you can get started on the next step. But you don't want to pull them out of the freezer until you're absolutely ready to shape the dough around them.
Or you want to eat them.
Yeah, you can just eat them too. That works. All right, so we're going to continue rolling these out. We don't necessarily need to bore you on camera, making you watch all of this. So we're going to pop them in the freezer, and then we'll be back to work on the dough in an hour, hour and a half.
Hello, friends, and we are back with our mochi. Now we're going to work on the dough. Here's what we need. We've got 1 cup of glutinous rice flour. This is very important. You have to use the glutinous. I've seen a lot of comments where people use regular flour, and it doesn't work.
But what is weird about that is glutinous rice flour is also gluten-free, technically, but it is the sweet glutinous rice flour. The glutinous is just more about the structure and not about actual gluten. So it's really confusing. But the sweet rice flour, you'll say it's specifically for mochi. This one has it like all over it. That's for mochi. We got this on Amazon. Some grocery stores carry it. So.
Very good. So make sure glutinous rice flour, but it's gluten-free. We have cocoa. We have 1 teaspoon of baking cocoa, 1 cup of water, 1/4 cup of white granulated sugar, and half a cup of cornstarch. And we're going to need more to roll it out. It's very, very sticky. And then we've got, this is optional, food coloring. We're going to use black because, theme.
Yeah, your food coloring, if you don't dye it at all, it'll turn out this like kind of milky white color, ghost ectoplasm, if you will. Dyeing it just makes it look neat, but it's fine if you don't want to dye it. It won't look terrible or anything.
Yeah, if you're just eating it for yourself, you don't have to make the mochi white.
So what we're going to do is we're going to mix this all together, and then we're going to pop it in the microwave. So the first thing we want to do is mix our dry ingredients together just like you would for any baking recipe. So we're going to mix our sugar. I'm just going to go ahead and dump that in.
All right, I'll get this out in 1 cup. It is very fine looking. And sticky.
And our teaspoon of cocoa powder. If you didn't want to do the red velvet flavor, you might not want to use the cocoa powder. That's just for flavoring. Chocolate might clash with what you're doing if you're not following the red velvet flavor. So we're just going to give this a light whisking and get things mixed together. And then we are going to dump our water in. This is going to have a weird consistency when you start whisking it. It's going to be weirdly like milky, not quite a batter consistency. But what you want to do is get all the big lumps out before we stick it in the microwave.
It is not appetizing looking.
It's not pretty.
You just gotta stick with it.
Yeah. That is the theme for this mochi. The batter looks gross. When you get the dough out of the microwave, it's going to be sticky and gooey, and you're going to think it's a mistake. It's not, so sticking with it is the theme. So I got most of the big lumps out of this. It's okay if there's a little bit here and there, but you want it mostly smooth. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover it with some plastic wrap, and I'm going to microwave it for 3.5 minutes. At the 3.5 minute mark is when I will add in my food coloring. I'll give it a stir, and then I'll pop it back in for another 30 seconds. And then we'll be back to shape it and assemble. Alright, so we have pulled our dough out of the microwave. We did go ahead and add our food coloring to it at the 3 minute, 30 second mark. So now it looks like if you play D&D, you will recognize this as a black pudding. It is really sticky, really, really sticky. So if yours looks like this and you think, I've made a terrible mistake, this is what it's supposed to look like. Bear with it. So we're just going to give it another good stir. Mainly the point of this is just kind of to release some heat, because what we want to do is before it cools down too much and solidifies too much, we want to start shaping it into our mochi balls. So we have rubber gloves on because this is super, super sticky. The first time I made this, I just put cornstarch on my hands and went with it, and I washed my hands probably 4,078 times that night, and still couldn't get it all off. So definitely recommend gloves if you've got them. Even with gloves, you want to generously apply cornstarch to your hands, and that will help keep the mochi from sticking to you. It also helps insulate it a little bit, because even though we are letting it sit a little bit and we did stir it, it's still hot because it just came out of the microwave. Yes. So what you want to do is kind of reach in here and pull up a glop. It feels like slime. If you played with slime as a kid, this will be just like that. About 2 tablespoons worth, a little bit bigger than our ice cream globs. We want to kind of roll it into a circle, plop it down on your very liberally cornstarched work surface.
Oh my! This is super hot.
It is hot and it is gross.
Rick's all like la la la.
My hands don't seem to feel temperature the same way other people's do. So do
hot
proceed
friends.
with caution.
Looks like little poops.
Yeah, it's gross. It's gross. If you didn't dye it, it would look even grosser. It was not a pretty brown when it came out, so I definitely recommend dyeing it.
Oh, just sticking your hand in. It's not like slime. It's so gross.
It's like slime.
Oh man, slime is like, I don't know, maybe because it's cool.
Probably.
So
yeah, it's hot slime.
Hot slime.
So as you can see, I'm getting a little less cornstarchy. It's sticking more, so I'm just going to re-up here. And
take a
that'll let it
pinch.
come off of my gloves, and I can roll it into a little ball.
I've never felt anything like this.
It's weird. It's not something that you expect to feel when cooking. It's like, it's weird.
Oh, it's hot. Is it okay to have like little lumps like that?
Definitely,
Okay.
because we're going to roll these out when we're done. We're going to take a rolling pin and flatten them out. Woo, this one's a big boy, but that's okay because some of our ice cream balls are a little bit big. And what ultimately we're doing with this is we're going to wrap it around our ice cream balls, so you don't want to get it so small that it won't go. I think we might get one more out of this batch. No, that's not enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slide my gloves off and start working on these ones that we've got done. So starting here with this one back in the back that I rolled out first, you're just going to start rolling it out into a circle. You want it relatively thin, so even if you roll it out way too wide for your mochi, you can trim off some of that excess, but you don't want to bite through just like an inch of dough when you're biting into your mochi. So roll it out relatively thin.
Ooh.
We're going to do that for all of these, and you want to get everything rolled out and prepped before you pull your ice cream balls out of the freezer, because they'll start melting the second you pull them out, and that'll be really messy. If you're making a lot, you'll probably want to do this in batches, because there would be no way you could get through all of it without stuff melting all over.
It just feels so weird.
It
When you
really
pull it
does.
out, it's soft.
It does not feel like your traditional like bread top dough. It's really really
it's
weird.
like silk. Ooh, and it's also still hot. Don't watch her, watch me.
It is hot. And the reason you want to work with it hot is the more it cools down, the less pliable it becomes, so it won't roll out as well, and it won't wrap around your mochi as well. If it is too hot for you, please don't burn yourself. Let it cool a little bit. It is better to have ugly mochi than injure yourself. Yeah.
These look crazy.
They
I
do.
cannot imagine them turning into those cute little mochis.
We've got one more here to roll out. And then we are going to just grab our ice cream out of the freezer, and we will be right back. Alright, we've got our ice cream out of the freezer, so it is time to assemble these mochi. So I'm just going to take one of the ice cream balls. It's still frozen pretty solid, and I'm just going to drop it in the center.
Like a teeny, yeah.
There you go. And what we're going to do is we're just going to start folding the mochi dough around it. Just kind of pull it up and over.
Like overlap it all over?
Overlap it all over. And then when you get it wrapped, most of the time you will find you have quite a bit of excess. So what I like to do is take my finger and dip it in just a little bit of water, just to kind of seal up the edges.
Oh.
If you can seal it up without water, that's fine.
I just pinched it.
And then all this overlap, I'll just take a paring knife and just kind of cut down. And if you don't do that, your bottom will be really bulky and you'll have a ton of dough to bite through, which is sometimes not the most pleasant experience. So hand the knife over towards you if you need it. And we'll just repeat that for each individual mochi. Your ice cream balls will be different sizes, as will your dough balls. That's just the way it works when you're making something handmade. Try to match them up as best you can. So like here's a big one, so I moved it over to this dough ball that was a little bit bigger.
This one. They do wrap really easy.
Yeah, they wrap very easy. And then if they're not sticking, it's probably just because of the cornstarch. You needed them to be non-sticky at one point, so just wet your finger and spread a little water on there. That'll wipe that cornstarch away and allow them to stick. And then you want to always place them seam side down, especially after you cut it, just so it doesn't burst back open. And once you get them all wrapped and reset on their pan, you will want to put these back in the freezer just to let everything harden back up to where, and just let things sit essentially. Usually about 2 hours. I've pulled them out a little early and it's been okay. Depending on how cold your freezer is, you might want to go 2.5 hours. But what you want is a nice solid texture to them.
This one's already starting to melt. Ooh, pop through.
And so yeah, we're just going to finish up the rest of these, put these in the freezer, and we'll see you back in about 2 or 2.5 hours just to taste these and plate them up.
Ooh.
Alright, we have our mochi. Hopefully good enough to keep us from being blacklisted from hosting the annual vampire event.
I don't think that'll keep us, but
I don't either. So I've gone ahead and cut one of them, so I'm going to dig into that.
Yeah.
But you can cut them open if you like, or they are made to just pick up and eat, or whatever makes you comfortable. So
Alright.
let's dig in. Bon AppeGeek.
Bon AppeGeek. If I can grab it.
It's bloody.
It looks so good.
Hello and welcome to Jackie Daytona's bar, official home of the Bucks. Go Bucks! Today we're going to be making for you a human alcohol martini with blood. So to do that, we're going to take some of this human alcohol gin. Oh, it's from London. Been there. Anyway, so you're going to take 2 ounces of that. One ounce of vermouth from France. And then 2 ounces of this pomegranate juice. Add a bunch of ice. A couple dashes of ginger bitters. Then we do the sexy shake. Now, you're going to prepare your glass. Take some fresh drawn blood, which is also just blackberries mashed through a sieve, mixed with some sugar. Just kind of decorate your glass to be as, creepy as you want. There we go. You just pour in. Take some of your blackberries and just slice them to rim your glass with. And just slap that mint around like the Bucks slap their volleyballs down on their opposing teams' faces. Just kind of like decorate your glass with that. Bon AppeBuck. I'm Jackie Daytona.
Hello, friends, and here we are. We are going to assemble our charcuterie board.
All right, I am hoping I do it better than Sam the cat.
I'm not going to even hold any expectations. His was amazing.
That's true. That's true.
But ours is going to be great too. Let's talk through what we've got here.
Okay, in my opinion, the most important thing of a good board is cheese. So I have got just some Gouda that I have cut into like long triangle wedges, and I'll show you why I cut it that way later. And I also have some garlic and herb goat cheese. You can use any kind of like soft cheese that you want, but you usually want a couple hard cheeses and a couple soft cheeses, or at least one and one.
Yeah, I think it's 1 and 1, but I like to do all.
Yeah, I'm like a very cheesy board person. But this garlic and herb, you can use honey, blueberry, any of that stuff.
Ooh,
would be
blueberry.
good.
Ooh, the cranberry ones at Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah.
So good. I have a super spicy Gouda. It's scorpion spice, and I only have a few cut out, but I don't have a knife. Guillermo, knife please.
Yes, master.
Oh, thank you.
Wasn't as fast as if Polka had gotten it.
Also pour one out. Although he's not dead, he's making shirts.
Yeah. He's in a sweatshop though. I think it might be worse. Spoilers. Sorry.
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah. Although 2 years. That's good.
Yeah, you've had time. Come on.
So I'm going to cut the rest of this cheese. Oh, I can't believe I just said that on camera. In smaller little triangles. And I'll show you why later.
So we've got our cheeses. We have meats. This is soppressata, not sopapillas. I can't pronounce anything. This is a type of Italian dried cured meat. I think it's soppressata.
It's something that has a lot of S's in there and a P. I know that. I have salami.
That is pronounceable.
And prosciutto, which
Also
is my
pronounceable.
favorite. I wrap this in breadsticks sometimes and put them in little cups, but we're just going to fold it up and eat it.
Melon wrapped is really good
Oh,
too.
melon wrap. Oh,
Yeah.
summertime.
Yes.
So good.
We also have some fruit. I usually want to have at least 1 or 2 fruit elements on a good board to balance out kind of the richness of the meat and cheese. So I have some pomegranate seeds. I'm a cheater. I like to buy them like this instead of buying a pomegranate. That is too much work for me.
Who has that time? That's like 4 hours of my day. And I have pear because we're doing fancy. So I just have a Bosque pear and just a red pear. And I'll just slice them lengthwise. And we also have our boozy grapes, which will be joining us soon, as well as our dipping dates.
We, talking about sweet stuff, we have some macarons here. These are store-bought macarons. If you are super fancy and super talented, you can definitely make your own. But these are just the frozen kind that we've let come up to room temperature.
If you make your own, I am super impressed and embarrassed that you are watching the show. You're way out of our league here.
We also have some sweet and spicy jam.
It is raspberry pepper jelly. I love pepper jelly.
I do too. It's good stuff. It's also just store-bought, but certainly you can make your own jam if you want to make 100% homemade charcuterie. More power to you. And then the last thing are some crunchy elements. I've got some peppercorn poppy seed crackers. And we've also got some twisty pretzel breadsticks. You can use those long, like sesame breadsticks too. Those work really well.
Like
just
some
something crunchy. What kind of crackers do you have?
They are called Toasteds. They're made by the Ritz people, and they're butter. You just want to be hearty enough to hold up to some cheese and meat and jam.
And the last crunch that we've got, the last thing that we've got for the board is just some nuts. It's usually a good idea to have like a salty nut element. We've gone with cashews here. Almonds make a good board dressing. And then the biggest thing when we talk about charcuterie ingredients, I think is make sure you go with stuff you like. You know, this is a pick and eat board, so go with what sounds good to you. Don't feel like you have to go with fancy meats or cheeses if that's not your thing. Just make it how you like it.
It'll still be pretty. I know we all want our Instagram picture, but you have to make sure you're going to eat it, or else it's a big old waste.
So let's start out with the meats. Nora has made a lovely salami rose here, and I would like to make some roses out of my soppressata.
So yeah, sure, we're gonna go with that.
We're gonna go with that. It's probably wrong, but
please don't add us because it's okay. We're okay.
Yeah, we tried.
Yes.
So we're gonna take. How do we do this?
Well, you just take you take any. Well, I'm not gonna say any glass. A flute glass is the best because it has the smaller opening. I've used tea glasses. They just make bigger flowers. So any smaller glass that you want, and you grab your meat, and you just like halfway in, and flip the other half out, and it just sits like that. And you just wrap it around the glass. And you fill in, don't leave any gaps, overlap them. And I like to do two rounds. Fingers get a good little greasy, it's okay.
And it makes sense, I think, when you're doing the flowers, if you've got a lot of meat on your board, if you're going, really meat heavy, or you're making a board for a lot of people, to make more flowers as opposed to big flowers. Because if you try to go too big, they just start to look messy after a while.
There's so many, like, cut the cheese, other kind of inappropriate jokes happening with charcuterie boards. I'm just going to refrain. And I've lost count how many rounds. I went with 3. I would just keep rolling and rolling, like a Limp Bizkit. All right, once you're done, looks like that. And then you just plop it on the board. I wiggle it a little. And then you go like what Rach did. Boop, boop.
And so I'm setting mine up just kind of in the opposite corner. Just to keep the board visually interesting, you want to kind of create like juxtaposition and not make it like, this is the meat side of the board.
Yeah. This is the cheese corner. I'm going to take this off for now and see if we need it later.
You'll also notice my flour's a little uneven. That's okay. Real flowers are a little uneven, so don't get stressed about that.
I mean, that's easier for the first person to be like, boop, pull it out.
Good. So next we're going to add some cheeses, right?
Cheese, yeah.
So I've got my Gouda. I cut it into these little triangle shapes, and that's because it started out as kind of a thin cut. It was like a little wedge. So you really don't want to cut that different from how the cheese has already been cut when you purchased it, just because you're creating more work for yourself. So I went along with that, and I created it into these like long skinny triangles that I'm just going to stagger back and forth like this on my board. Just kind of makes like a cool visual effect.
I never thought that's why I just traditionally cut them into little wedges if they're round. That's just going with the grain.
Yeah, it's just making it easy.
Alright, and I'm going to put my little spicy Gouda. It's just going to be the opposite way. Boop-a-doo. It's really whatever your aesthetic is, you can make it.
And we've got another cheese here. We've got our goat cheese. Being as that's kind of a stickier cheese, I like to kind of hold it towards the end, just so if I want to rearrange something on my board, I'm not locked in with something that's kind of stuck down on the board.
Oh, that's a good plan. Because I'm always moving things around, so that's good. I remember that.
And so kind of along that same line, we said we wanted to set outside our middle for our hot honey brie that is coming along once it gets off the stove. So I'm just going to kind of create a space for it by making a circle with our macarons. And that'll also help to kind of, I think, hopefully, pull our two sides together.
Very good. I'm just going to put a few crackers down while you're doing that. And it's kind of like Chutes and Ladders with the crackers. You just kind of worm it around wherever you have a hole.
Yeah, just weave them in. And one reason you want to do that is if you're making a board for like a big gathering, depending on how big of a gathering it is, how crowded it is, you may just kind of get to one side and fill your plate from there. And so you want to make sure somebody's got access to crackers and bread, no matter where they're coming from. Okay.
Oh, that looks so pretty. I can't wait for the cheese.
Me either.
All right. Let's do some prosciutto. These I just, I'll just show you real quick. Sorry, you gotta pull it up. All right. And you just kind of fold it down and then fold it back, kind of like an accordion. Just so they'll stand up. And then you just kind of pull that off. It's not really, you know, you can't do much with prosciutto. You can't really make it pretty. But I just got some little prosciutto bunches. And I think I will put those.
It reminds me of the tissue paper flowers that we all learned to make in grade school.
So much fun. Yeah, now that I'm homeschooling, I get to do all those fun things again.
Nice.
I think I'm just going to I'll put the prosciutto here. Beside the cheese.
And a little bundle to the mix.
And I think that should do it.
All right, so we are going to add, so you've got your crackers down. I'm going to put my crackers, I'm going to put some crackers here, just kind of spread them out, one on top of each other, across the board there from my meat and cheese. This may be where I decide to put the goat cheese is in this nook, but we'll kind of leave it and see.
Yeah, very good. What else do we have out? We've got that, we've got the dates, we'll probably go over here maybe. And our boozy grapes.
Perhaps some boozy grapes and some pomegranates here.
Ooh,
you just want to really, you want to make it close together and just kind of make sure there's different elements on different sides of the board.
Yeah, try not to leave any gaps anywhere. I'm going to take the pear that is just sliced, or just sliced lengthways, and you just lay it down and then you move it with your hand and that fans it out. And I'm going to move that. It's just there for a placeholder.
You'll want to put your jam on the board. We like to put them in a bowl. I think that makes it a lot neater, and you don't have like jam slurry running off. Any kind of little bowl. These are decorative, of course, but the glass prep bowls work pretty well too, and manage to pull together a nice look since they're...
Oh yeah, that kind of blends into the board, so those are really good. I think I'll wait to put the nuts down until we get everything else. So that might be at least one of everything on there.
Yeah, except for the pomegranates, and I kind of want to wreath them around the boozy grapes. So we are going to add our cooked or our recipe elements. We'll be back with those in just a few minutes.
The finished board, I'm so excited. Hello friends, here we are. Look at all this awesomeness I have. These are the little bits for our charcuterie board. We've got peanut butter filled dark chocolate dipped dates. So these are already pitted. Please get pitted dates. Do not torture yourselves. It's not worth it. So these were pitted, and so means they're already going to have a little hole in them. I've already done all these because you don't want to watch me fill dates for an hour. Put some peanut butter in one of these reusable, I don't know what this is called, piping bags, sorry. And a very tiny little tip. You could also get one of those little eclair fillers. They will attach to the bottom of these too. But this already had a hole in it, so I'm just going to show you how to fill it. You just stick it in, and you squeeze. You fill it up. It's so much. The first time I made these, I used a spoon, and I used almond butter, which is not as thick as peanut butter. So it was nice and messy. Just a heads up. If you want to use almond butter, I would add a little bit of sugar to thicken it up, and then put it in a bag, please. There you go. Fill it up. Now I'll just show you one more. Now we're ready. Dip it in the chocolate. This is just dark chocolate. Microwave for about 45 seconds. Give it a good stir if you don't want it to harden up. I didn't think this through. It's going to be messy. Here we go. Just stir a few in. Swish them around. Grab them with your fork and plop them down. That's it. You want to drip some of it off because it will, when it thickens, when it hardens up, you don't want it like a little splat at the bottom of your dates. I'll show you a couple more. Stir them in, swish them around. Super easy, but they're delicious. And they look like they took forever. Alright, real quick I'm going to show you the boozy grapes because I don't want to dip all these dates right now. These, it's a TikTok recipe. These are black grapes. Put them in a bowl with 1 cup of vodka and 2 cups of Prosecco. And I let them just sit and chill out in the fridge for overnight. Now look, they're all swollen and boozy. Now I've got a 1/4 cup of granulated sugar. The easiest way to do that is just put it all in a bag. Make sure you zip it all up. And then like Sir Mix-a-Lot said, you just shake it. That might have been way too old reference for most of you guys. You could go with, never mind, I can't remember. Outback. They also shook it. You just get all the grapes coated. And literally that's it. You're done. And look how fancy they look. Little fancy grapes. Sugar. There goes Jessica. It's going great for me. All right, I'm just going to keep dipping my dates. And then we are ready to assemble the next part of our charcuterie board. See you in a minute.
All right, we are going to make some hot honey brie to be our centerpiece of our charcuterie. So for that, it's really, really simple. What we have is hot honey. This is a specific thing, hot honey. You can make your own if you can't find this, though. You can just add some red pepper flake to honey, and that'll, it's not the same, but it'll work. So we're going to have a 1/2 cup of that, and we've got 1 wheel of brie. We're going to make all of this over on the stovetop, so I will meet you over there with these ingredients.
We just need to add 1/2 cup of hot honey to a pan over medium-high heat and heat until that honey starts to bubble. Then we'll add our brie and cook it for 4 to 5 minutes until the cheese starts to get nice and gooey. You can either spoon the honey over the cheese while it's cooking or flip it a few times to make sure the honey gets on all sides. Once that cheese is gooey, remove from heat and serve.
We're back. Look at all this deliciousness. Yay!
We have our hot honey brie in the center, looking delicious. We have our frosted in sugar boozy grapes, looking potent.
Extra boozy. And our peanut butter filled dark chocolate dipped dates.
That almost didn't make it to the table because I just want to run off with those.
Love these. These are my favorite little snack.
So we're going to finish assembling this board. So I'm going to put my pomegranate seeds on. Just make a little pile of them there. And right next to them, I'm going to place some of our grapes.
Let's see. Put the dates back here. Short, I can't reach them.
Put in our goat cheese and put 1 piece of it just here on this side of this rose. Come around with the other little log over here. And I'm going to take some grapes and add to Nora's side of the board so it's not lopsided.
See, this is what happens. Some of the chocolate spilled out and it just gets a little, but it's just a little crunchy chocolatey bit. It's fine. They're stuck.
They're on there.
Oops. Alright, let's fix this little cracker. Alright, let's see. What do we need?
We still need our cashews. And I think otherwise we're looking pretty good. And then our last item then will be our little pretzel twists. And we'll just kind of make a few bundles in different places. I'll do one back here.
Oh, it looks so good. Oh, that looks fancy.
What do you think? I think
it looks delicious. I would be very impressed if I came over to this and out for a party, game night.
Well, let's clean up a little bit and we'll dig in.
guys. Look at that.
Gorgeous. I love it.
Oh, I'm so happy with this. It looks so good.
No offense, Sam. You're a cool cat and all. This is better.
Yeah. I mean, he did get to be a familiar, so I figure he's okay.
Probably. Yeah.
All right. Should we just dig in?
I think we should. Yes.
I'm going to try a boozy grape.
I'm gonna start, I think, with meat flour.
Ooh, meat
Pull out
flour.
of the- I don't know which part to take.
That's boozy.
the flour.
It's boozy.
Oh my god, Gouda.
All right. Bon appetit.
Bon appetit.
I'm sorry.
I already dug in.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I already knew I loved these. So good.
Let's try one of those. Yeah.
Oh,
good as
love
ever.
it. All right. I'm going to go try all the other things now.
Okay, that's our What We
did.
Do in the Shadows episode.
That was so much fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Oh, the mochi. Yes.
It's like I said, it's an experience.
It was so. I didn't the texture. I didn't see it. You told me it was going to be weird, but it's weird.
Yeah, it's weird, but it's worth it. I really like
Yeah.
it. And charcuterie was as fun as always. The human alcohol martini perhaps had a bit too much human alcohol in it,
Yes,
but
it was delicious.
it was very tasty, and the presentation was great for a gothy vampire-y drink. So what did you guys like the best?
Charcuterie, by far.
Always a
The
strong
brie was
choice.
Oh,
excellent.
the brie, so good.
Yeah, those the peanut butter chocolate dates.
I love those. I make those all the time. A good little snack. I'm gonna say the martini. I didn't finish mine because I would be asleep right now, but it was really good.
Well, I'm gonna go with the mochi. I think it was really fun to make. I love mochi anyway. It's so just fun to just pop an ice cream like it's a cookie. It's just
Yes.
fun.
So
I liked the red velvet. I thought that it worked well flavor wise and looked cool. So I'm gonna give it to my mochi.
Yeah, it didn't look good going in.
It did not. No, at every phase until it was done, you're just like, nope, this is a mistake.
Yeah,
this is
it's a disaster.
Every time I practiced it, and then even today filming it, I was like, I don't know, man, this
Yeah.
feels wrong. And
We
it's
pulled
like,
that
oh, wait, it
spoon, that
works.
spatula up, and it was like loop. Like, nope, this is not great. But
Yeah.
it worked out. It was delicious.
And I've seen some recipes where you like roll them out and stuff, and I can't fathom after touching the stuff like how that would work. But
I wanted to do it the traditional style where they have the hammer and people are punching it. And
yeah, I mean that sounds dangerous.
Yeah, I would break
Sure.
things. But yeah, that did look fun.
Well, if you make this mochi and you get creative with it and use a hammer, please use caution, and I don't recommend doing that unless you have done it before. But if you have done it before and you can safely do it and you want to show it to us, please use hashtag #BonAppeGeek
That was
on
a long
social
way to
media.
get there.
It was. But seriously, if you make any of these, or you put your own twist on them, maybe you do some different flavors in your mochi, or you do your charcuterie a different way, we would love to see it.
use real blood.
Don't use real blood. Don't do that.
Do not come
I think
back,
that's
guys.
against a lot of rules and laws and health regulations. Don't do that. But if you are not illegally making things with blood, we'd like to see it. I'm going to get through this at some point.
I love it.
Use hashtag #BonAppeGeek on pretty much any social media, and we will be looking for your creations. We would love to see what you came up with.
Yes.
If you would like to find us on social media, how can they do that?
We are on the major ones, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Bon AppeGeek Show. Don't forget that show, or else you won't find us.
We are also, we have our own website, bonappegeekshow.com. There we have a blog with all of our recipes, and sometimes little fun Easter eggs and tidbits about the fandom that we're covering.
There definitely will be for this. I can't help myself.
No, it's too good of a show tonight.
All Nadia and Colin Robinson quotes.
But yeah, that is at bonappegeekshow.com. We also have a coffee. If you would like to buy us a coffee, all of the proceeds from that, they don't go in our own pockets. We use it to buy ingredients, sometimes fun flair for the show. But we use it to keep our show up and running. We don't get paid to do this. So we are at coffee. That link is down in the description box down there, as well as I believe a link to our website.
Yep, everything is down there. And hey, while you're down there checking all that stuff out, if you'd like to give us a thumbs up, if you enjoyed this episode, that'd be great. And if you want to see more, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That way you won't miss anything from us. And it does help us out. We're a new channel. And if you did miss our last episode, there is an eye there, over there in the corner, for our bar cry. Oh, those nachos. I still think about those
me
nachos.
too. I crave them all the time. I
wanna
want to make those nachos.
The nachos, the drink, everything is great. Click that link and you will see that and all of our other previous episodes.
And our upcoming episode, we will be back
We
in...
can't talk about it.
I think we can talk about the episode, maybe just not...
Now that song is
anyway.
stuck in my head forever.
If you haven't figured it out yet, we'll be back in 2 weeks with Encanto.
Yay.
It's going to be a super fun menu for that one, so definitely don't miss it. But until then, bye!
Bat.
Fact.